7 ridiculously stubborn homeowners that wouldn't budge. The half house. We've all had some kind of difference of opinion with our neighbors before. However, the two residents who occupied this duplex absolutely could not see eye to eye on whether to sell their building or not. And clearly, the dispute was never resolved. This half house was constructed in 1957 when one occupant of the duplex refused selling their home to a development team in Toronto. Instead of scrapping the project, the team decided to continue construction, dismantling the duplex until only half remained. This half house is occupied even today. The stubborn nail house. In China, the phenomenon known as nail houses exists. These are certain homes that homeowners will refuse to sell under any circumstance. Unlike in other countries, the people who want to buy the properties here aren't real estate moguls looking for their next quick buck. In China, the government wants the residents to sell, and they don't have a problem playing dirty. There are times when electricity and water are cut off to people's homes because they refuse to move. And yet, these persistent owners will not even budge an inch. One such resident in Ruiyang, China, happened to be the only person in her neighborhood as she had refused to sell her property. She stayed even though her electricity and water were cut off and the units on her left and right were being torn down. She had only been living in this home for a year. House in the middle of a highway. Living in an abandoned is one thing, but what about right in the middle of a 4-lane highway? This is another example from China, where 3 families reportedly linked arms and refused to let any of the bulldozers through to demolish their homes. Surprisingly, the government relented and built the massive highway all around this building that housed these families. The government might have assumed that all the noise and the hustle and bustle would convince the owners to sell, but they certainly underestimated the stubbornness of these families. House on the hill. From circular highways to abandoned lots and now massive dirt hills, the residents of China definitely know how to make a point. This incredible family held their ground until it ultimately gave way beneath their feet. The developers were then forced to work around the home after the Wu family refused to sell. When the family left to go on a trip, the construction crew excavated a nearly 30-foot deep trench all around the house. As soon as the family returned from their trip, they broke into the construction site and moved back into their house. Then, they flew the Chinese flag proudly for all to see. However, after some time, the Wu family came to an agreement and sold their house. Who knows what the size of that check